communication campaign final, we came together as a group to discuss improving motivation in college students, but more specifically on business students who are currently working or looking to start working while attending school. According to Merriam-Webster, motivation is the act or process of motivating. Motivating is to provide with a motive. A motive is something such as a need or desire that causes a person to act, and motivation is what drives people to success. Now that we have defined motivation, we can take a look at the overview of our project. When we discussed as a group what we wanted our final campaign to be about, we decided to think about our fellow students and what the most needed training is in our current time. After a considerable amount of time, we all decided that we would conduct our project on improving motivation and identifying the steps and skills needed to drive people to success. In our research, we found that many college students struggle during the last few years or even semesters of college due to a lack of motivation and inspiration. Students find themselves questioning the importance of their degree or even rationalizing that a degree is not needed to achieve what they are working for. It is only natural for students to have doubts and concerns, but the biggest culprit is a lack of motivation. By recognizing the trends and developing the needed skills early on, students will be able to recognize when they are experiencing a lack of motivation. They will be able to analyze which steps to take to become more motivated and determine the next steps to be more motivated moving forward. This will not only benefit students in their learning experience, but it will also be a valuable skill in their upcoming careers. Now that we have provided an overview of our project, we will review our purpose and objective for this project. The purpose of this communication campaign is to provide students the skills necessary to be effective and motivated throughout their learning experience and in their upcoming careers. Ideally, these skills will act as a supplementary to the existing knowledge students have of motivation, and hopefully students use the resources available to them to continuously find additional skills to help them remain motivated. Motivational skills are imperative if students want to be successful and not feel the burden caused by not being motivated. Students can feel unmotivated at various times throughout their learning experience and at any point of their life. But these skills can help ensure students are provided with the tools and information to identify any sign of demotivation. Our communications campaign will be conducted through a variety of channels and media to effectively reach our target audience. It is our goal in conducting this communication campaign that students will have successful academic careers and feel empowered to embrace their personal motivation by applying their learned skills. Now that we have identified our purpose and objectives for this campaign, we will take a look to review our audience analysis for this campaign.
While studying for our audience analysis for this communication campaign, it became very easy as Salt Lake Community College as a school actually has many great resources that we were able to use to properly study the demographics and psychographics of our audience. After understanding that we were primarily working with students enrolled at Salt Lake Community College and those that are also in the business courses, we had a simpler time relating to them and selecting channels that fit their media viewing tendencies. With a median age of 23 years old for Salt Lake Community College students, most of our audience is venturing into the business world, which can cause a lack of motivation for many reasons. This made it much simpler to be able to check our resources and identify good ways that our audience can remain motivated so they don't become lost in whether it's school or in the business world.
Now that we've reviewed our audience analysis, we will go on to key messages. First, let's start off by defining what motivation is, which is the force that causes an individual to behave in a specific way. What causes you to act? It involves the emotional, social, and cognitive forces that activate behavior. Being able to persist through obstacles and to be able to keep going in spite of difficulties. Further key messages we want our audience to be aware of is defining the lack of motivation, finding steps to motivation, staying motivated, and applying learned skills.
Now that we have reviewed the key messages of our campaign, let us now review the channels of communications we plan to utilize. We have identified 4 different channels to deliver our campaign. We will have an instructional presentation for students, a handout to summarize our main points and ideas, a LinkedIn page, and a website for students to interact and engage with after the initial presentation. In reviewing our first communication channel, we chose to conduct a presentation to discuss improving motivation with students. We chose to do this in a classroom setting where we'd have the opportunity to not only teach students about motivation, but also to address any questions that they have in regards to motivation. We also plan to do this presentation strategically towards the end of the semester when students are typically dealing with a lack of motivation. As we start our presentation, we will first review our agenda and go over our objective and key messages that we want the students to get. In our objective, we highlight the purpose of our communication plan, the skills that they would ideally gain from the plan, as well as our overall goal. Then we will move into defining motivation and really evaluating what it truly is. After we define motivation, we will look to define a lack of motivation and what that looks like. And then, once we have defined that, we will move into the 7 steps of motivation. The first step is to set a goal and visualize the goal. Our second step is to make a list of reasons you'd want to accomplish the goal. Our third step is to break the goal down into small targets. Our fourth step is to identify strategy. Our fifth step is to identify the help you need. Our sixth step is to pre-plan for lack of motivation. And our 7th step is to check in on your goals. And once we review the steps to motivation, we will plan to move on to how to stay motivated and going through a couple of different tips and tricks to provide students with tips on to how to stay motivated even when they feel the most unmotivated. And then we'll also walk through students on how to apply these skills to their daily life. After we finish going through the majority of our presentation, we will open it up for any questions that students might have in regards to motivation. And then we will also provide them with the tools that they need to be able to get into contact with us, either using our website or LinkedIn, our phone number, or our email address. And then at the very end, we'll go over the credits of where we got the information from. For the second channel of communication, we have put together a handout or flyer that we will provide to students.
So we made a flyer, and the basic reason for making the flyer was to keep students motivated and to give them some type of resource for them in order for them to go and learn some skills to stay motivated throughout the semester. So one of the things that I came up with was to start out just by asking the question, do you find yourself unmotivated by the end of your semester? I feel that providing some tips to students is helpful in not only being successful in the class, but also being successful when they get out there in the workplace.
Another channel of communication we decided to use was a LinkedIn profile, since our purpose mainly surrounds remaining motivated in the workplace. With an average age of 23, a large majority of our audience should have a LinkedIn profile to network and advance in the business world at this point. Another reason we made this decision was due to ease of access, with LinkedIn being available on many different technological platforms. We found this to be a good channel to share and repost beneficial information on remaining motivated and motivating others around you. Our final communication channel we utilized is a website or blog that will provide and share motivational information to our audience. This was a good channel of communication in our eyes, since the majority of our audience is young and constantly using technology. This was beneficial to our audience as well because it provides a resource to be able to refer back to the information whenever you're lacking motivation or if some of the material was missed. As we conclude our channels of communication, we identified some of our greatest successes that were seen throughout the campaign. One of those I've identified is being aware of the impact of being unmotivated or how that affects others. Motivation is something that affects all people in a very different way, and I believe it's something that all people should be very empathetic toward.
Another great success is that by becoming aware of what motivates us, we are more capable of achieving the goals we set for ourselves. Finding resolutions and embracing the challenges we face throughout the semester gives us a better chance to grow.
Another great success from this campaign in improving our motivation skills is the ability to apply these skills in every part of our life. An honest fact is that are not all motivated 100% of the time, and it would be hard to ensure we are always motivated. But by following the 7 steps to set a reasonable goal, by making a list of reasons we want to achieve the goal, breaking the goal down into reasonable targets, identifying a strategy to accomplish the goal, identifying who we need help from or what we will need to accomplish the goal, pre-planning for the times when we do not feel motivated, and checking in on our goals, we can all be more motivated and stick to the right plan to ensure we do not get off course. These motivation skills are essential for every part of our lives. Not only can it help us be more motivated in our schoolwork, but it will help us be more motivated in our future careers as we take on grueling challenges and less than ideal situations. We can even apply these skills to our personal lives when we find the skills helpful to motivate future children or significant others. The possibility of situations requiring motivation are endless, and with this campaign and Learn Skills, we are ready for them. In addition to the greatest success from the previous slides, we also wanted to go over our lessons learned. In this campaign, we wanted students to take away that by recognizing the trends and developing the needed skills early on, that they will be able to apply motivational skills to increase their motivation throughout semesters, which will better their overall learning experience, and they can use these as a general life skill, whether it's in their continuing education, family, career, or overall. For me personally, the greatest lesson I learned is that everyone needs help with motivation at one point or another, and it is something likely everyone has struggled with. From what we learned in preparing for the presentation and for the different steps provided, there are multiple things we can do to be motivated daily. Another important aspect I learned is that it is a choice to be motivated. We can provide all of the skills, steps, and ideas on how to be more motivated, but the actual motivation and accepting of motivation is done individually. We are not all motivated the same, and that is why it is important to self-identify what is truly important to us and what is actually motivating for us individually. I plan to implement these skills personally as I complete my next semester and also in my daily function at work.
In addition, what I took away from the campaign portion of the class was that there are many resources available to staying motivated throughout the semester.
Another lesson I learned during this campaign was that many aspects of motivation are something I had not previously thought about or necessarily applied into my daily life. Utilizing these resources that we've surfaced as well as created is something that I intend to utilize moving forward and something that will help me immensely. Thank you for listening to our campaign on improving motivation.